hold it for a little bit longer. They're not building land anymore.
I actually had to borrow that $80,000 at 15%.
Wow. Duplicate it.
Yeah.
Right? Buy your neighbor's house. I'll never sell that. I sold.
What is up, you guys? Matt McKeever here with Adam Martin. We're coming to you live from Miami. We're just wrapping up from Uncle G's 10X Growth Con. I got my cash flow hat on. And so this is actually a video about, should we call him Uncle K?
I think that's only proper.
Because honestly, Kasey is a beast just like Grant Cardone. I know you guys are loving the videos with Kasey Wong, and so we thought this one's a little bit different. We thought, why not have Kasey actually give advice to a young investor, to Adam Martin? And so if you guys don't know Adam's backstory, we actually have a whole series of videos on Adam that I'd love for you guys to check out. Once you're done watching this video, once you're done smashing that like button, and once you're done hitting the subscribe if you're new to my channel. But again, I just thought it'd be great for us just to kind of chat about how every time we meet with Kasey, he does the same thing for us that Uncle G does, doesn't he?
Oh, he just fires us up. Like, it's unbelievable. Every time I leave a conversation with Kasey, I know I've got to get out there and 10x my efforts and add zeros and commas to my balance sheet.
And yeah, and one of Kasey's suggestions for Adam was to really focus on just doubling down on your current investment strategy.
Yeah.
So he really pushed you to just buy every house on your block.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that's a totally reasonable approach because, and you can see it with his portfolio too. While he is invested in multiple different cities, there's very little distance between all of his investments, and what he's done is really scaled them vertically so that they're all in one spot.
Yeah, and that being said, like, they're very cookie cutter. Like, he's got a system. It's 2.5 walk up, you know, flat roof if he has to, but he'd prefer not. All the basics, no elevators, no hassle, no muss. 30 units up, he's got a system and he just replicates that recipe over and over again.
Well, and don't forget, he always uses those classic strategies like the vendor take back, the cash back on closing, and using private deals or pocket deals from realtors that he's done great networking with. So
yeah, so if you guys are enjoying these videos, make sure you smash that like button, but otherwise we'll let Kasey take it away.
I started getting into real estate at the start of 2018. So at the start of 2018, I'd never seen an offer. I'd never worked, I certainly hadn't written an offer. I really hadn't walked through any buildings to build any context as to what a good investment looks like, what I would invest in general. I didn't really fully understand the differences between multifamilies and student rentals and rent-to-owns and just how those strategies differ. And then over this year, I was actually able to, I started out wholesaling, so I had the opportunity to walk through a ton of buildings. I learned a lot about real estate in general, and I was also able to get at the center of this big network that Matt McKeever's built, which allowed me to really run into guys like yourself and learn from Matt, you know, guys like Jeff Weibel who are doing writing a lot of deals, and that allowed me to build a really good understanding of the fundamentals, so like cashback mortgages, vendor takebacks, and really just using these strategies to get into properties. So I was able to execute this year on my first property, which was a vendor takeback. So we did a 96% vendor takeback at 3% for 13 years. Unicorn deal. It was amazing. A lot of negotiations went into that. And then the second deal, I also had to raise a bunch of capital because I haven't had a real job or any T4 income now for over a year. So essentially at this point, I'm 24 years old. My credit score is okay, but it's not great because of my utilization. I've been pouring everything I can into the assets. So my bank story is not perfect. But I've got a lot of knowledge about real estate because of how I've set myself up in the network. So I guess a good thing to ask is, you know, what would 24-year-old Kasey do if you know, had a goal similar to reaching a level that you're at now?
I will continue with what you
get towards Matt.
Yeah, I'll continue with what you're doing.
Yeah.
It may seem very nice to do multifamily, but you still have to have that skill set, the money, and the experience there. So it is a little bit more difficult. There's nothing wrong with what you're doing. If you're doing Airbnb, right? Because that's what I saw. If you're doing Airbnb, duplicate it. Right? Buy your neighbor's house, buy that. So now it's scalable. You can actually do it, and it's very easy. You just walk over. That's what I would do. Do something that you're comfortable with. Wait 5 or 10 years, get the cash out from that, and then upgrade. right?
Yeah, it looks like a common theme for you is you kind of get into a building type, you really exercise the business case in the
Yep.
long term with it, and then make a decision, which is really cool. Because I
Yeah.
know a lot of people in the network certainly are fast to refinance, they're fast to
Yep.
look at the next thing, but it sounds like you're really digging in on that building.
Yeah. So the thing is that I need a cash flow. So refinancing it, like at a house, your cash flow is really tight. So I understand that piece where after you're gonna burr a house, but now when you refi it, you're not making any cash flow on that, right? Now you're buying another property. Now your cash flow tight again, right? So be patient. What you're doing is fine, okay? Because I did the single family homes, and then after 10 years, then I divested, right? Then I started getting into the bigger properties. I did get that 10-unit building first on Chapel Street, but I actually waited. I didn't I refinanced some of it. I took some of the money out from my Hamilton. I kept on losing that money, but it was only small portions. That was only at one time. But when I made it bigger, when I got something like this, is that I waited for the 10 years. So I will continue with what you're doing. There's nothing wrong with what you guys are doing, right?
Yeah.
But you actually, it's not a get rich quick scheme.
Yeah.
It does take some time. You're 24 years old. When you're 34 and you hold less, but you have to grind a little bit. You have to buy a little bit more.
Yeah.
Right? Then you're gonna have to find that money somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes it could be parents. Sometimes you still have to pay that interest. So
Yeah.
a point above whatever they're borrowing that money is what you're gonna pay them. So it's like 3.5. You're gonna pay 4.5.
Yeah.
Right?
And even on this second building, like I really appreciate the business approach, like a business analysis approach where you
Yep.
can look objectively at the numbers, remove your emotions from the deal,
Yeah.
and just say, does this work? And the second deal, I actually had to borrow that $80,000 at 15%.
Wow.
Because that's what got the deal done fast, and that's how I got funded in time.
Yep.
But to me, like, and you said right there, wow. And I said wow too, but at the end of the day, I looked at the business case for it. I'm paying 15% on $80,000 for 1 year.
Yep.
It doesn't matter in the long
matter.
run
It
because
doesn't.
my intention is to hold this building indefinitely.
That's right.
Right? So that might look like 10 years, it might look like 20 years, it might look like 40 years. And if we're expecting a cash flow around $4,000 that I'm splitting with my partner, then does $1,000 a month in an interest expense matter?
No.
It doesn't. So I think it's really important, what you were talking about earlier, to really allow yourself to objectively look at these transactions and make sure that you're taking a business-like approach to every building, every deal, and then restart, like you were touching on with this building, with every building on looking at the building itself. It's a brand new deal. It's a brand new business.
That's right. Yeah.
So I love that.
I think you're in the right path. Everybody is in the right path as long as you're in the game, right?
Yeah.
You guys are always in the game. You're always holding something. If you're going to sell, make sure that you buy back in. That's something crucial. Like I always said that I'll never sell. Like at the get-go, I said I'll never sell. I'll never sell my 896 Dundas Street East.
Yeah.
I'll never sell that. I sold, right? I'll never sell my 70 Chapman Unit 18. It's making me money, right? I'll never sell. I sold, right? But then you upgrade, right?
Yeah.
So you quickly upgrade. Don't get out of the market. Sometimes the market will run on you, right? Oh, it's gone up, like it's gonna come back down. It's gone up 50,000, 100,000. Like you missed it, right? Get back in. But when you upgrade, you're upgrading higher now.
Yeah.
So you're doing your Airbnb. Let's say you duplicated. So you got, how many properties do you have?
So I just have the 2.
Okay, you have the 2. You can buy a couple more because you can still do it. Like time-wise, what I'm saying is time.
Yeah.
Right? You can still do the management. You can still do all the running around. You can make sure that you're filling these places, doing the Airbnb, like doing all those on the app, and you're filling it. Continue with that. Probably get up to, I don't know, if you're comfortable with, let's say 8, 10, 12, hold it, okay?
Yeah.
Continue with that. Maybe it's all in the same street, or maybe it's somewhere in a nice neighborhood, and you'll see each building will be unique in certain ways.
Yeah.
After that 5 years, assess it. Take a look at it. Maybe you want to continue with it, right? Maybe the cash flow is really strong.
Yeah.
Continue with that. If you're cash flowing strong, continue with that, right? There's nothing wrong with it. Up to a certain point where, you know what, you're not able to, it's not scalable, you're just too busy, maybe you outsource it, or maybe you get out of it, right? Then you assess it. Wait 5 years, right? Take a look at it. So just be patient. You're 24 years old.
Yeah.
That's great. 29, take a look at it, scale, keep on doing it, get up to 10 units.
Yeah.
All right, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
Because now you already have that expertise. Getting in, making it cash flow, making it break even, it's gonna be a lot faster.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you start going through those buildings
Exactly.
better, faster.
That's right.
Improving every time, right?
Right? So you guys are doing great at what you are. People will say, hey, I want to Airbnb that.
Yeah.
Right? And they'll look at that. Your investors might be next door, it might be whatever, your doctor, your lawyer, like it could be people that you know that has money and say, hey, I'm gonna diversify from my business, my portfolio into Adam Martin's, and hey, here's the money, I'm gonna draw it out, here's a check, you run with it. Right? And then show your investors, be transparent.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
And so right now I know between Miranda and I, we've actually attracted a decent amount of money. We probably can have access to about 300,000 at any point that we want now, which is a big step. That's 3.5 times more money than initially that I raised initially, and I didn't even think that was possible, right? And so all of a sudden that was possible, and then it was easier to ask because I knew the process.
Yep.
So I guess what I'm probably looking at in the future now is what types of buildings do I want to get into? Should I replicate the same things that I've got, or start trying something different? Like maybe try a duplex, maybe try a triplex, and kind of just growing out that diversity, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So one thing that comes to mind, maybe a little bit less for Adam, but I know a lot of 24-year-olds are suffering from this right now, is the market at a peak? Should they wait till it plummets? Should they just count on fundamentals? Like, would you be scared if you were 24 years old starting?
No, I wouldn't be scared. Listen, people have done this when you had high interest rates, when you had 12, 15%. Your rents are gonna go up. That residential side, yeah, it's gonna falter a bit, but you're gonna be able to rent it out. Hold it for the long term. It's not a short-term game here.
Yeah.
This game is not 2 years, 3 years. Hold it for a little bit longer, all right? There's nothing, they're not building land anymore, okay? You've heard that saying. At 25 years, that length of time weathers all that risk, right? The longer it is. The shorter duration it is, let's say you're flipping a 6 month, if you're not doing like an Airbnb or a student housing, if you're doing it over a very short time period, then you can be hurt, right? So if I'm gonna be flipping a high-end house, if I'm gonna be renovating it, now that risk is higher. You expect a higher return, but if you're not, if you're just doing a buy and hold strategy, whatever that student housing, it could be Airbnb, it could be a straight rental, duplex, triplex, hold it for a longer duration, you're gonna be successful. Right?
And an interesting thing, right, is like the market conditions really only ever hurt you if you're exiting at that moment.
Yeah.
Because on the buy side, you can always find a better deal. You can always use private deals. You can use a network. You can use other connections to actually get there. But the high prices or low prices, falling prices will only ever hurt you if you're trying to exit or are forced to exit.
That's
so
right.
Good strategy, good planning should help you avoid that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like you don't want to exit because your boiler broke.
Exactly.
Right? You want to create a strategy that allows you to fund those repairs and maintenance as they come up, or any other situation in your life, so that you aren't forced to exit at the wrong time.
Yeah.
So I think that was another great point that you brought up earlier with us, right?
Yeah.
Have that reserve so that you're not forced to sell, or you're not forced because of somebody else's will or intention to lose your asset.
That's right. That's right.
So.
I think you guys are spot on. You guys know what you're doing. Just continue with it. You guys just need a little bit more time, right? You're 20, I keep on saying it. You're 24 years old.
Yeah.
Wait until you're 29. Scale it. Like get more properties. If you have 300,000 of investable money, capital, buy 1 or 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't get over leveraged. But what I'm saying is that also is have that capital that you need. Let's say it's 20, 30, 40, 50,000, just in case. Like you always have that when you're doing your analysis, that make sure that you have that reserve, all right?
So if Adam, let's say, does have access to 300,000, so if he was he found a property beside the one he owned up for sale, it's going to fit, how would you approach that investor, or how would you start that conversation?
How to start that conversation? I would show them what you're doing. They want to see your history. They want to see what you're doing currently. Show them the numbers, show them the property, walk them through it, because now they know exactly what they're getting into.
Yeah.
All right. So it's easier. I show my investors this. I show them exactly what they're going to get into, and let's say the Hyman, because I bought this first, like 2 years ago, and then I got my Hyman property. I showed some of my investors this,
Yeah.
and they're a little bit more comfortable because I'm doing it. So your investors are going to be comfortable with you. They don't invest necessarily on the project. They don't look at, hey, oh my goodness, this is great. You changed the boiler, you did this. No, they're investing in me. They're investing in you,
Yeah.
right? Because they have a relationship with you, so you have to sell that, right? It's key that I don't have your investors' relationship. I won't get there,
Yeah.
okay? Even if mine look really good, they can bypass me, go to Cap REIT. They can buy a REIT. They can invest with somebody else, right? Why don't they? Why don't my investors? Because they trust me. They know me. They know where I live. They know how I work. I can bring them in. They can touch and feel. This is their ownership. Same thing with yours. Your Airbnb is going to be your project that you can show your investors,
For sure.
right? And they can see it. So that's something that you have to utilize.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of guys at my age or somewhere around my demographic, something that I'm using that I think is a fantastic tool that everybody should be using is we've been showing our lives, we've been showing our activity, we've been showing basically full transparency on social media accounts like my Instagram or on Matt's channel where you've walked through some of my properties. But on my Instagram, this is how initially I got funding from the first investor, is because he had been watching me for 6 months, day in, day out, walking through properties, talking about my approach to investing, talking about what I was learning, and seeing that I was out and engaging with all of these networks and with these people that are far smarter than me. And I pride myself at being the dumbest person in any room that I walk into now, because I'm always finding myself in an opportunity to learn from people, and then I share that transparently on my Instagram and on my social media, and it really does allow people to build a relationship with me, and it really allows me to scale that relationship exposure to a lot of people. So that's how I've been able to do it.
Yeah.
I think that if you're my age or you're close to my age, I think that's a great strategy for you. Is number one, the reason for sure that I got to where I'm at now, and it will be the leading contributor to moving forward, is building out that network, having those connections, learning from people that have already done it, and taking their strategies and their tips and actually implementing them right away. And I saw, and you guys, here's a real example of it where I learned from Kasey even in the one day that I met him. So you've all seen the first Kasey videos, but one of the things that he said inside those videos, and he mentioned it again today, so you probably have seen it in this video, is as soon as somebody doesn't pay, give them that M4. And I did that immediately after your video. I didn't get paid on the first of the month, immediately printed for our tenant. And that's something I wouldn't have done before. But because we had the opportunity to come and learn, that's something I did, and right away I shared it too. I was talking about it on Instagram with Matt. So I think it's really key you set those networks up and you make those connections and really build them into meaningful relationships. They're not transactional. It takes work, it takes time. It took me a year of complete overexposure to everybody in the game before I could act on a property. Now you guys might not have the same amount of time that I did to invest in that network, because I quit my job at the start of 2018 and just went all in on this. But spend whatever time you can afford to building those networks and building those relationships, because that's how you get in a room with Kasey. That's how you get in a room with Matt McKeever or Jeff Weibel, and you actually get their time and attention, is after you've shown that you're committed and invested.
All right, well, that was amazing advice from Kasey. Shout out to him again. Honestly, it's just so much fun getting the chance to talk with Kasey. So, what are your thoughts, Adam?
Well, Kasey had some great advice for me there, but you know what? After getting back from Grant Cardone's 10X conference, I think that I've actually got some ideas of my own that I want to implement. And I think that looks a lot like scaling my portfolio up as well. And I mean up in units and following the same strategies that Kasey's been using. Because I've been able to source that capital and source other partners due to our networking efforts, as well as just putting myself right in the middle of all of real estate investment in southwestern Ontario, I think it makes a lot of sense for me to actually start considering some of these larger multifamily units and working more and more with partners and attracting capital the way that Kasey's done.
Yeah, 100% agree, but we'd love to get your opinion. So jump in the comment section, let us know, what do you think Adam should do? Should he double down on the Airbnb strategy and buy every house on his block? Should he get into larger multifamilies? Should he do both? Let us know. what your thoughts are, guys.
And go easy on me, for God's sake.
Yeah, and otherwise, leave us a question or a comment for Kasey. We'll make sure next time we meet up with him, we'll ask him that question. We love the feedback you guys are giving us. Honestly, it means a lot to us. Hit that notification bell if you want to find out when the next Kasey video drops. And otherwise, until next time, remember, making money is a team sport. There's more than enough money in this world for us to all make it. But if you're not saving it, I mean, like, what's the point, guys? Thanks. Bye.